Welcome to this recording of the physical and spiritual rewards of fasting. This enlightening discourse was originally delivered by Paramahansa Yogananda at the Self-Realization Fellowship International Headquarters in Los Angeles, California, on March 9, 1939. We are honored to share his divine insights and timeless wisdom with you today. The physical results and spiritual experiences of fasting are wonderful. The spirit within becomes disassociated from the demands of the body, as the body itself is freed from gross habits. I have just passed my 30th day of dieting and fasting, and it seems as natural as if I had never eaten. All of you who are able should go on a 3-day fast, if possible, a longer one. You would begin to discover that you can live without food. Pains or aches in the body indicate that something is going wrong with its machinery. Repairs are needed. Think how conscientiously you keep your auto clean and in good repair. Much more complex than any car is the human body, and the Lord wants you to keep it clean and in good running order also, while at the same time depending more on Him. The secret of good health does not lie only in chemicals. One should rely even more on God's energy within. This life force within our bodies is in fact the source of life. It is a conscious power, the creator of the organs, and the supplier of their vitality as well. Ordinarily, life force is continually reinforced by mind power and food, but if it has been too much misused, it gives up and refuses to work anymore. Its power may grow dim in the eyes, for example, and then you cannot see well. No food gives strength, no change of air invigorates, nothing can restore energy to the body when its life force begins to diminish. Fasting gives rest to the overworked organs, the bodily engines, and also to the life force itself, relieving it of extra work. When you cease to make the life force feel it has to depend for its existence on external sources, food, water, oxygen, sunshine, it becomes self-supporting, independent. It is overeating for 365 days of the year that creates many kinds of disease. Undeviating regularity in eating, whether the system actually needs food or not, is also a curse to the body. The more you concentrate on the palate, the more disease you will have. To enjoy food is all right, but to be a slave to it is the bane of life. Why should you let nature hurt you? Nature cannot punish you if you are not attached to the body or bound by food. You must recognize that life force is the sustainer of the body. Without being fanatic, place the greatest emphasis on the mind, with the object of making its power more and more dependable. If you insist on making your mind a slave to your body, the mind will take revenge. It will relinquish its power so that you will have to depend on someone or something else to help you. And no doctor or medicine can help any patient if the patient's mind has become so weakened that the disease has become chronic. 3/4 of the cure lies in the mind. In India, we teach how to conquer the body so that one can rely to a greater degree on the mind. Those who constantly look to physical means for health and healing will be dependent on them always. But mental power is superior. One should learn gradually to make greater use of the mind. By doing so, you will realize that the mind is a superb instrument. Whatever you command, it will do. This I have seen in my own life. One day, when I was giving a lecture in Milwaukee, it was terribly hot. My face was streaming perspiration, but I couldn't find my handkerchief. For a moment, I didn't know what to do. Then I put my consciousness at the Christ Center and inwardly said, "Lord, my body is cool." At once, all perspiration disappeared, and my body felt cool as could be. So it's good to try to depend more on mind. However, you cannot deny the body entirely. If you truly did so, you wouldn't think or eat or move. Some are interested in the power of mind over body principally to demonstrate health. But health is not the purpose of life. Communion with God is the purpose of life. You may feel well for a while, but a time comes when nothing avails. Then who will help you? Fasting is one of the great ways of approaching God. It releases the life force from enslavement to food, showing you that it is God who really sustains the life in your body. But the temptation of Satan is that as soon as the mind thinks food, you want to eat. Once, as a little boy in India, I had a cold and I wanted to eat some tamarind, which is considered very bad for colds. My sister strongly disapproved, but because of my insistence, she grudgingly brought me some of the fruit. I took one piece, chewed it, and spit it out. Without my swallowing the tamarind, the desire for its taste was satisfied. Since man all too often acquires the habit of greed, it is unfortunate for him that God didn't create the body in such a way that he could enjoy the sense of taste and let damaging excess or unhealthful food bypass the organs of digestion and assimilation. But in truth, the only way to health and happiness, and the sanest way, is self-control. To be master of yourself, so that you are not overpowered by your senses, is one of the greatest blessings you can have. If you overload a wiring system with too much electricity, it burns out. And every time you load your digestive system with too much food, the life force burns out. When you refrain from overeating and when you fast, the life force takes rest and becomes recharged. If your auto is not working properly, you send it to a garage. It runs better for a while, and then something else goes wrong, and you send it back for further repairs. The same must be done for the body. The physical effects of fasting are remarkable. A fast of 3 days on orange juice will repair the body temporarily, but a long fast will completely overhaul it. Your body will feel as strong as steel. But if you want a permanent overhaul, then you must also watch at all times what and how much food you take into your body. Know the right way to fast. In fasting, you must know what to do. That is why proper supervision is necessary for a fast longer than 3 days. I don't advise anyone to make his first fast a long one, for he will become weak. A 1-day fast on fruit each week or a 3-day fast on orange juice each month are good ways to accustom oneself to fasting. The faster must be mentally prepared for those who will immediately begin to sympathize and tell him that he will become sick and die if he doesn't eat. It is true that on a longer fast, you may feel weak during the first few days because the life force has been accustomed to dependence on food. But gradually, as the days pass, you no longer feel any weakness. Your life force and spirit become detached from food. You see that the body is sustained by life force alone. I know the secret by which one can fast and still not lose weight. The life force, when under one's conscious control, may be utilized to take off flesh or to keep the body at normal weight. Either way, it is effective. When this principle is applied, the normal temperature of the body does not go down, no matter how long one fasts. Drawing energy from the medulla, the mouth of God, the life force begins to rely more and more on its innate regenerative power instead of depending on outside sources. Human beings in a perfect state of suspended animation can be buried for 5,000 years or unto eternity and remain alive. Life is eternal. It depends not on breath, nor on food, water, or sunshine. Remember always that you are the imperishable spirit. This is the way to live. Our consciousness survives after death, but the ordinary man loses that feeling of continuity and so thinks he is dead. Every one of us is going to die someday, so there is no use in being afraid of death. You don't feel miserable at the prospect of losing consciousness of your body in sleep. You accept sleep as a state of freedom to look forward to. So is death. It is a state of rest, a pension from this life. There is nothing to fear. When death comes, laugh at it. Death is only an experience through which you are meant to learn a great lesson. You cannot die. Why wait for death when you can realize this now? The first lesson you have to learn is that life is not dependent on food. By fasting, you can prove it to yourself. Function well under all circumstances. Everyone should develop his mental power so that he is able to function well under all circumstances. Sleep or no sleep, food or no food, vacation or no vacation. Regularity is admirable and necessary. We must acquire the habit of regularity in order to obey the laws of God. But to be unable to deviate from that habit without ill effect is wrong. All the fundamental habits of a child are formed between the ages of 3 and 7. A good environment helps guide their development, but if certain tendencies need to be changed, special training is required. In my school in Ranchi, India, I gave the boys rigid training of the body. They fasted often and slept on a blanket on the floor, never using pillows. Sometimes they meditated for hours. To help children by rigid discipline to be free from the tyranny of the body is to confer on them a lifelong blessing. One of the schoolboys sat for 12 hours in meditation without winking his eyes. If you had such poise, how much happier you would be, how much more peace you would have. The greatest training lies in scientific, balanced discipline of the body, mind, and spirit, and in that lies the heart of fasting. The metaphysical science behind fasting. There is a great metaphysical science behind fasting. Jesus reminded us of this truth when he said, "Man shall not live by bread alone. Two things keep you bound to earth, breath and bread." In sleep, however, you are peacefully unaware of any need for either breath or food. Your spirit is detached from body consciousness. Fasting uplifts the mind in the same way. Through fasting, let your mind depend on its own power. When that power manifests, the life force in the body becomes increasingly reinforced, with the eternal energy continually flowing into the brain and spine from the cosmic energy around the body, entering through the medulla. Becoming detached from dependence on outer physical sources of bodily sustenance, the life force sees that it is being supported from within and wonders how this is so. The mind then says, "The solids on which the body used to depend are nothing more than gross condensations of energy. You are pure energy, and you are pure consciousness." Then, whatever command the mind impinges on the consciousness of the life force, it will manifest accordingly. Anything can be done by mind power. So you see how unjust it is to the mind and to the all-powerful life force within you to say you can't live without food. Make your life and body impervious to suffering. Conquer yourself. By long fasting, you realize that everything is mind. Every force and object in this universe is a product of the divine mind. In the same way that all the things you perceive in a dream are creations of your own mind. On the conscious plane also, if your mind creates the thought that the body will be weak from fasting, it will be weak. Or if you have been fasting and momentarily think it is making you weak, the body will actually feel weak. But if you make up your mind that the body is strong, it will not feel any weakness. Rather, it will feel great power. Most people do not know this because they have never tried it. The mind will not show its miracles unless you make it work. And it will not work so long as you continue to depend more and more on material things. That is why its marvels remain hidden from ordinary vision. But when, through fasting, you learn how to depend on mind, it will work in everything, whether conquering disease or creating prosperity or realizing the supreme goal of life, finding God.